And so they are as much of a Greek mindset as we are. But the Hebrew, when it was written, presents truths in a totally different and in an abstract way from what we're familiar with. And hence, when you read it, you can sometimes and often just say, what in the world is that saying, right? And the reason for that is because a Hebrew does not think um, of time when it relates a truth. We often think of time, and we have three tenses, right? And they're past, present, and future. But a Hebrew doesn't think of anything in that perspective when this was written. And in addition to that, we describe events how they relate to us. So we would say, you know, this is Mark's pen, you know, and it writes for Mark. Mark writes with this pen, and it's about 4.5 inches long, and it's black. And we describe it by what it looks like and its physical characteristics. Hebrew never uses physical characteristics. It uses its function. So they would say this pen. They would say this is. They would compare the function to something they know in their life. So this pen would be like the waters that flow through the green pastures. And you go, what? Well, to them, the pen, it writes on paper, the green pastures, and it just kind of flows out. And that's what the water does on there. So everything is in relationship to their life. So when we read scripture, it can be very difficult to understand the author's intent. Now we have translators, and I'll bet you we've got a few translations sitting right on this table. There's no end to translations. And because translators recognize the value of understanding what the Hebrew understood, they do that for us, and they translate the original Hebrew words into a method that we understand. Well, we don't fully grasp what the author, and in this case, I'm going to just call it our Father, what our Father is trying to tell us in that scripture, because it was written for a culture that is totally different from ours.